He was very impressed with what he saw. The most unique thing about this Louis Ertz layout is that it's a scale layout, but we in 3-rail O-gauge are so used to doing track, where we put it together, we might bend it, we might put ballast on it, we might put a road bed with it, but this gentleman hand cut every single tie. He laid every tie. He laid every rail. He hand spiked on every single tie, 4 spikes per tie, every rail on the whole railroad. That was just unheard of. In the O-gauge 3-rail world, we're used to having all this done for us. So when I first heard this, I thought, well, this is absolutely preposterous. What a lot of work for nothing. But upon walking in the room and seeing it, you saw perfect tracks. This was a handmade gem. It was just beautiful. It is the best 2-rail layout I have ever seen. Mr. Ertz is an architect. He designed this addition to the home himself. The beauty of the room is it's wide open. There are no posts anywhere in the middle of the room. It is well developed and perfectly detailed all the way to the floor. Everything about it is craftsmanship. Lots of people will build a scale 2-rail layout. Almost none of them finish them. Almost none of them have locomotives, rolling stock, passenger cars, highly detailed, finished, painted. Lewis's are not only finished and painted, but they're accurate. He has the New York Central Century Limited. He has the right cars on that train, like the original one was, including the observation car. The New York Central Century Limited had a unique observation car because there were actually 2 levels within the car, and it shows on his car with the paint scheme and the floors. Even the people inside are all thoroughly detailed. The same is true for all the other cars that you see on his layout. His passenger cars, his freight cars, all of his rolling stock is highly detailed and beautifully, beautifully painted. Louis is an expert at scratch building structures. He showed me many different structures on the layout. Almost every one of them are scratch built. Few, if any, are kits or kit material. They're all scratch built structures. He details every part of it. He just tells all these stories. The people who are there in the yard around the roundhouse have specific jobs to do, and he tells about this one fellow having a job to do, but he's not too good at it, so he has a couple of helpers that helped out. Winches. There's a winch that he has modeled down to the gear teeth. The roundhouse area is laid out as a maintenance shop should be. The roundhouse has adjacent buildings to it, which are the buildings which serve that roundhouse or served mechanical functions. There was a blacksmith shop. There were other functions around the roundhouse that all directly dealt with it. Nothing was done by accident. Everything was modeled with a reason. This is not a train layout that you just walk through and look at the layout. This is a layout where you can barely walk at all, because you would get lost in each and every scene, studying the details and the stories within that scene. It takes you a long time to see and appreciate this layout. The scenery is impeccable. Louis made his own trees. He made them from twigs or from branches or shrubbery, and then he added to them to get the tree to look as real as possible. He made beautiful flowing landscapes, And in the back, he has wonderfully hand-painted backdrops all the way around the wall. It's a full mural with no corners and no seams, so that you can watch the train go through the curves and your eye is never drawn by the fact that you just saw the corner of a room or that you just saw the backdrop break. It is one flowing forever scene to the eye. Very pleasing to look at. Lewis built this layout some number of years back, and what he did for that time was unbelievable. If we want a marquee now, we can buy a motion light marquee. But Lewis did this by hand. He actually used fiber optics and put a fiber optic tip every so often all the way around the marquee, and all the way down on the other end of those plastic rods, those fiber rods, he has a light that sweeps across the tips of the other end of the fiber optics, so that his marquee has chase lights running around the title of the movie that's playing in the house that evening. This is some of the best scenery you'll ever see on a layout. The rocks and the detail that you see on these cliffs were made by making rubber molds on the faces of real rock. Then these molds are filled with plaster and placed on the scenery shell to complete the image or the illusion of real rocks. Most all of the bridges and trestles on Lewis's layout are all scratch built as well. And Lewis does admit to using one kit, but all the rest of the work on his layout was